Welcome to the Explainer. Today we are diving into a huge, and I mean hugely expensive challenge in the world of big data. We're going to talk about why our big data jobs so often feel slow, why they break, and why they cost so much. Let's break down the problem and look at a really powerful solution.
Okay, let's just get right into it, because if you've ever waited for what feels like an eternity for a Spark job to finish, or maybe you've seen the cloud bill afterward and just gasped, you have absolutely asked this question. Well, it turns out the answer usually isn't in your code. Nope. It's hiding in a super complex layer of configurations.
And the stakes here are just incredibly high. Research shows that a less than perfect configuration can make your jobs 10 times slower and 10 times more expensive than they need to be. We're not talking about a small change here. That's literally the difference between a project succeeding or failing.
And you know, this isn't a new problem, and it's not tied to just one system. It's been around for over a decade across all the most popular data platforms we use, from the original game changer, Hadoop, all the way to modern powerhouses like Spark and Flink.
This right here really shows why getting this right is so critical. These are the engines that power giants like Facebook and Netflix. They're unbelievably powerful, for sure, but all that power comes with this dizzying complexity that we really have to get a handle on.
So the heart of the problem, really, is how we've always approached tuning these systems. See, we've been thinking about it in two separate, totally disconnected pieces, and that's exactly where everything starts to go wrong.
You know, as the researchers Dharma Dasa and Ula put it, this is a genuinely challenging task. It's kind of like tuning a high-performance race car, right? You can't just tune the engine and ignore the chassis or the tires or what the track conditions are like. Everything has to work perfectly together.
And here are the two layers we're talking about. So, historically, you've got one team tuning the cloud infrastructure. That's the car's chassis. They're picking the VM types, the number of nodes, and then, at the same time, a totally different team is tuning the data platform itself. That's the engine, right? They're controlling things like data replication and how many executor cores to use.
Now, this is where it gets kind of wild. The sheer scale of the problem is enormous. Each layer, cloud and platform, has hundreds of these little knobs you can turn. Things like the serializer, which is basically just how data gets packaged up for transfer, or the memory fraction, which decides how much RAM you're using for storage versus actual calculations. Every single choice has this ripple effect, creating a dizzying, almost infinite number of combinations to test.
So here's the crucial point. These teams are just focused on their own set of knobs, and they're often not coordinating at all. The data team's asking, hey, should we compress our data? While the cloud team is asking, well, how many cores should we use? But nobody's asking the most important question: how do those two decisions affect each other?
All right, let's get to the breakthrough idea that the research uncovered. What happens when you stop tuning things in separate silos and you start tuning both layers at the exact same time?
This is what the researchers are calling co-tuning. It's this automated, holistic approach that treats the whole thing as one big, integrated machine. Think about that race engineer again. They don't just tune an engine. They tune the entire car for one specific track. And that is exactly what co-tuning does for our data jobs.
And the results from the study are, frankly, pretty amazing. By just code-tuning the cloud and the platform together, with zero changes to the actual code, they cut job execution time by an average of 17.5%.
And here's the part that gets the finance department really excited. It also slashed the dollar cost by nearly 15%. This just proves it's not about buying more powerful stuff. It's about using the resources you already have way, way more intelligently.
Okay, so what's really cool is seeing how this academic idea translates directly into real-world advice from a major cloud provider, like Google, for their Dataproc service. They are, for all intents and purposes, describing code tuning in practice.
So a really key decision is your cluster strategy. Are you going to have a long-running cluster that's just always on, which is great for ad hoc queries, or an ephemeral one that you spin up just for a single job? Ephemeral clusters are a perfect example of co-tuning, right? You're tailoring the cloud infrastructure specifically for that one workload.
To really apply these principles, you have got to separate your storage from your compute. This is a core concept. You use scalable cloud storage like GCS for your permanent data, but then you use the fast local disks on your compute nodes for all that temporary shuffle data. That's all the intermediate stuff Spark creates when it's sorting and combining data. This lets you scale and optimize each part independently.
And this is a brilliant example of co-tuning in action.
You can save a ton of money by using these cheap, short-lived, preemptible VMs. But, and this is a big but, only if your job is fault-tolerant. See? It's a cloud configuration choice, the VM type, that is 100% dependent on a platform choice, your job's fault tolerance. But hey, even with all the best practices, jobs can and will fail. So let's take a quick look at how to diagnose some of the common issues that pop up, because they often point right back to our tuning, or lack thereof.
Let's look at some classic error messages that just scream code tuning mismatch. You see no space left on device? That's a code tuning problem. It means your cloud choice, your disk space, didn't match your platform's needs. How about task not found? That often means an ephemeral cluster got shut down too early. Again, a mismatch between job length and infrastructure lifetime. And no agent found? Well, that can mean your master node just ran out of memory. The VM you picked wasn't beefy enough. You see the pattern here? Each one is a failure to tune both layers together.
So, when a job fails, here's a simple, 3-step process to kick off your investigation. First, check the Yarn Node Manager logs. That's kind of like the air traffic controller for your cluster, to see if it's healthy. Second, get into the worker nodes and just check their disk base. Finally, use your cloud provider's diagnostic utility to get a full snapshot of the cluster's state. That will almost always point you right to the root cause.
So, look, if you take away just one thing from all of this, let it be this. You have got to stop thinking in silos. Your cloud infrastructure and your data platform are not two separate things. They are one single integrated system. And the moment you start tuning them together as one, well, that's when you unlock those massive gains in both speed and cost.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought to chew on. The data jobs we're running today are already complex, but the AI and machine learning workloads of tomorrow, they're going to be orders of magnitude bigger. So if we can make today's jobs 15% cheaper and 17% faster with code tuning, what could that same principle do for making the massive cost of AI actually sustainable for the future?